Hi, I'm Brenda Ellis, author of Artistic Pursuits, an art curriculum for preschool through high school. Now, if you've been following me from the beginning, we've had some great times just talking about the very beginnings of a drawing. How do you start a drawing when you're drawing from observation rather than copying from the hand of another artist? I hope that you've become familiar with this first step, and that is my purpose for repeating it over and over, that it become familiar. And remember, like that sled sitting on a snowy hill, the slope is now getting smoother and smoother every time you try to draw an object from observation. The first thing that people often think of is we need to learn how to draw. We need to pick up this pencil and we need to know how to make those lines on paper. But that isn't the first step. The first step is awareness. Awareness happens by, walking around the world and looking. But that's not always easy because remember, I've been talking about the brain, and our brain says, oh, you've seen that before. You know what that is. That's a door. You don't need to look at that. Oh, you've seen a flower pot before. You don't need to look at that. So it's constantly telling us as we're looking around our world what we need to focus in on and what we don't need to focus in on. But it's often those things that we don't focus in on that would make good subjects for art. So we need to slow down our brain. And how do we do that? The best way, to slow down the brain so that we're able to really look at what's in front of us is to put ourselves in a new situation. Have you ever bought a painting or a picture for a wall and you put it up on the wall for the first time and you go, whoa, it's beautiful. I love it. And you might come back into the room and look at it again and love it. But after a while, you stop looking at it. That's because your brain says, I know what's there. You don't need to pay attention to that. So you don't look at it anymore. We can do things to wake up that brain that says, don't look, don't pay attention. And one thing that we can do is go out into new areas, new spaces. When I take my walk, I will often take a different path. I'll get off the path just so I can see something new. And that's a good way to keep your brain active. I also like to go to new places that I haven't been before. And so you don't have to go far away, just to a new park, on a new trail, down a new street, wherever you live, down the road. Get off the path that you always go on and go into a new path. And that will just kind of wake up that brain and you'll start to really notice the things around you. And then you can find good subjects for your art because your brain is paying attention. So that's called awareness. Today we are going to draw the edges of something we see every day, our own hand. We won't be tracing around that edge like you did as a young child. You will relax the hand so that your fingers bend. And now we see the hand in ways that cannot be traced. Let's get started. First, I look at the palm of my hand. It seems rather square with rounded corners, or you might view it as a circular shape. However you describe it, draw that shape. As I look at a finger that is bent, I see that it overlaps or lays over the shape of the palm of my hand. I notice how far the part above the palm extends above it, and how far the finger overlaps into the palm. The tips of this finger sit at the palm's edge and extend above it. How do I draw a finger that seems to be pointing at me? Well, I might focus on the tip and see it as a circle. I draw the creases at the joints. I draw the edges of the thumb with lines, paying attention to the part that sits outside the palm and the part that overlaps this shape. After the large parts are in place, I go back and add more detail to define the edges more carefully. Add details like fingernails and creases and folds. Make many pictures of your hand. It's always with you, and you can draw it from all sorts of positions. Rest your hand on a table surface. Draw it from the side. Draw it with all the fingers pointing straight at you. Point. Draw your hand holding a glove, a cup, a napkin. The possibilities are endless. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed learning to draw from observation. Be sure to sign up on our email list so that you can receive notification of each new lesson. I'll see you next week.